And well, hi, Fariha. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Imran?
I'm good. Um, I think I'm trying to figure out how should I introduce. So before we get into a conversation, there are a few things people should know, and then you can add more about your background.
Sure.
So Faria, for those who are listening, worked with me doing and Dave. So if you have heard the other podcast with Dave Capello, you should definitely listen to that. But Dave and I, we had a company, OneAvenue. Faria was part of it on a very early stage when we were getting started. And OneAvenue was basically a platform for content creators to monetize their fans. And this was way ahead of right for your like OnlyFans, even way ahead of Linktree, way ahead of FanView, all those kind of monetization tools.
Sure. Sure.
But also Faria has a lot of her up her sleeves. She's been a researcher in some aspect. She has, I believe, you have a publication as well, or some
Yes,
sort
I
of.
do. I do. Yes, it's on
Yeah.
about parents and adopting children.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. And plus, you also wrote a book,
Yes, I did.
right?
Yes,
So Faria is the kind of person I would say those who are listening, I think you will connect to a lot of people out there.
I hope so.
So I wanna let's start off with you.
Yeah.
Tell the audience a little bit about yourself. It sounds very generic interview questions, but I think I want to level set with folks.
About myself, pretty much the
Yeah.
regular person next door to you, nothing out of the blue, but somebody who's interested in many things. Like we go through our lives, we want to be here, we want to be there, and we want to do this. And I have tried doing that. I did not let the regular, the myth or what people say that, oh, you need to focus on one thing, which I understand, but I try to delve in different things. That's why I ended up in working with you in the startup as well and writing a book, which I always wanted to do and participating in a publication on the side and a psychology publication. We are all communicating and connected humanly. So all of this factor brings us to the communication, even with OneAvenue or even in my day job or whatever I'm doing. So that's a little bit about me and so far.
And you forgot to mention you're also a mom, which is more than a job
Yes.
itself.
I'm a mother to two beautiful children, and they have grown up. So now I'm coming back or trying to get back to find things that really interest me, and I try to get back on finding the things I really would like to do again.
So let's just start from there, right? So and you can add more context to things as much as you like. But before when you started One Avenue, um, what were you thinking when I came up with the idea that hey, this is what we're doing, and we did actually pivot it along the way. You were way before. You were before with us when we were doing just content writing. That's how it all started, if you remember.
Actually, I was with you, Imran. I mean, I
Even
was
before that,
involved with OneAvenue, but you were there when we were talking about what name you want to keep of it.
yes, yes,
Remember, we were discussing all about LA, like we because you are based in, San Francisco. I don't know if your viewers or listeners know that, but you're based in San Francisco. So you were like, no, I want a unique name. So we brainstormed ways, and then you came up with this, and I was like, that sounds a good idea. And at that point, it was basically about how you wanted to connect artists to the regular public. And Imran, between you and me, this is what I see people doing right now. If you would have not you know, closed down or sold off the start a while back, we might would have been ahead then. A lot of
yeah,
companies I see right now doing the same thing pretty much that we were doing
yeah.
5, 6 years ago.
Yes, yes. And I remember specifically when we were talking about the name, it was like I always make sure. So one thing for me, and you probably know this, Rhea, I think people say they don't want to judge a book by its cover, but in reality, they always
We
do,
do. We do. That's
right?
branding. That is what branding
Yeah,
is,
right. And so I
basically.
was like, I want a nice name. You know how it's
Yes.
Fifth Avenue. I need something. And then we were like,
Yeah.
yeah, One Avenue makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we also interviewed a lot of celebrities.
A lot of celebrities. Now I think about it, we are Dancing with the Stars people with us. I interviewed one of the people on Dancing
Yeah.
with the Stars while they were on the show, so that was so interesting. And then we had Enna, we had Faidi, we had so many people, And in fact, I remember Fadi's interview was so nice because he gave me a really nice video interview and I loved it, like the way I wanted it. So
Yeah.
yes, we came across a lot of people. I personally learned a lot while working with OneAvenue in that aspect.
So when you look back, right? So I think what I want to get out of you that would help other people is, when in the Bay Area, so I've done multiple startups, been part of some, and there's this thing, oh, I'm doing my own startup. Oh, I'm gonna raise it round. And
Yes,
you saw it firsthand, the
yes,
harsh reality of
yes.
startups.
Hmm.
Um, that is. Could
Hmm.
you tell us in your own words, what did you actually see, some of the challenges with a startup, right, that you were part of, One Avenue? And secondly, you know, give some more insight or fruitful stuff for folks who are, like trying to get into it, or those who are even thinking about, hey, I should start my own company. Like, because you're as an outsider who start, coming in startup space, I'll be honest, some things when I look at, I'm like, oh, it's daily life. Working 100 hours a week, not a big deal. 1 or 200 hours, right?
Yeah.
So how would you, yeah, if you can elaborate on that.
Imran, I would like to talk about it from two sides, right? I was on this side working with OneAvenue, setting up content, pushing out playlists. Remember the every Thursday, every
Yeah.
Wednesday playlist we used to do, and then reaching out to people for the interviews. Some of them were interested to work with us. Some of them you would ask, and
Mhm.
they would be like, so the two ways would be you really have to be a go-getter first and foremost, just like your personality I've seen, and you have come a very long way, so you have to be a go-getter. You have to be ready to be in it to win it. It does not matter what is the outcome. As you know, startup, and I remember having this conversation, majority startups set up either make it or break it in the first 2 years.
Yeah.
You managed to push it, I think, for good 5 years, 4 years.
Yeah.
You
For
were
four
able
years.
to raise funds twice, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
And so raising the funds, I was with you once. We went to this setup in Manhattan,
Hmm.
I remember.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. You have to know exactly what you want. You have to know exactly what kind of person you're going after to put a seed round, or what kind of venture capitalist you're looking for. If you don't do your homework, you're not going to get anywhere. It's not like something I'm going to sit today and think about it. That's how majority people make it sound. It does not work that way. Any startup, Google, Amazon, did not start today. Oh, we were sitting and having drinks and decided that. No, no, no. There is a lot of homework. So anybody who's getting into it has to do that homework. You have to be ready to work hard. You have to be ready to learn. I personally like working on OneAvenue. Remember, I started as a content, then I
Yeah.
went into managing, and then I went to operations. Why? Because I wanted to be a part of it. So learning along the way is always part of the process. We all have our hurdles. We all have blocks in us. Like sometimes we don't understand a lot of things, but you have to be willing to push it. You push it for the first 2, 3 years, chances are you will make it for one more year. And it's always baby steps. Never target like I want to reach here. You do one thing at a time and eventually you will get somewhere. That's what
That's
my learning thing was as a person working in OneAvenue. Now, working on the outside, I would say
yeah.
a lot of people, I used to see a lot of these new artists, and sadly, they never got to the second round, even like, or they never got to come on a public platform. This is for the listeners out there, the viewers out there, that if you have a skill or a talent and somebody reaches you that we would like to showcase you, we would like to interview you, give it a shot. Why you are hesitating? Because it's not CNBC and it's not ABC.
Yeah.
You are never going to get over there unless you don't start at the first step. So we at OneAvenue, I remember we had a few hundred, actually few hundred audience, which went into millions
Yeah.
by the time we retweeted and everything.
Yeah.
Who was a famous artist? I'm forgetting her name. She retweeted us, and it just went on, killed
Oh,
conversation, and everybody.
I forgot. I think how it blew up, we wrote, there was a
Lindsay
song.
Sterling.
Yeah, Lindsay Sterling.
Lindsay
Yes.
Sterling was our
Yes.
first big artist, and look where she is now. At that time, she was
Yeah.
just starting. Why she is where she is? Because she gave herself to perform, to showcase herself at every single chance she got. And look where she is today, sold out concerts.
I and I would like to add one more thing. It's like I think w one of the things that are really important is that when you want to do something, you have to do it consistently for a long period of time. You can't
I
just
agree.
do it and miss it.
I agree.
Like
That
I've
is, that
seen,
is something I'm working on as well. Yes.
yeah, and I think with startups, what ends up happening is there's always like when you're trying to build something, there's always something new.
Yes.
And now they're chasing that. You
Yeah.
need to stop the chasing game, validate your product, and then go after. And I would say one of the things with our stuff, since we were originally in the music business, is
Mm-hmm.
this whole music business itself is just how to put it, it's not in a
It's
structured
a lot of
place.
red tape. It's a lot
Yeah.
of red tape. I couldn't believe it. Like, like you said, as a user, as an audience outside listening to this song, you don't realize what is going behind it and how this whole game works. How they showcase one artist at a time. Meanwhile, there's so many artists out there. I mean, they're gauging in the financial aspect and everything, but it's a lot of red tape, which a lot of people don't realize. So
Hmm.
it's not easy to get into the system. But same time, if you see a skill and talent that you have, if you get a chance, somebody is reaching out to you, take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I see it. The worst come worst is what? You're not getting paid for the gig, but you got 10 other people to listen to you,
Yeah.
to hear you, to see where you're starting, and you never know where that might lead you to.
Yeah. Like, I think, and also one thing I've noticed, I don't know if you remember her, but she's on my LinkedIn as well. Sophia Zoran. She is a Romanian singer, and
Okay.
she started singing. I remember she was in UCLA, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
I'm messing it up if she's
Mm-hmm.
hears this out.
Mm-hmm.
And she kept at it one thing. She keeps doing her music. She's passionate, she's doing it, and now I'm seeing she's getting a lot of plays. She's getting to a place.
Mm-hmm.
So I think consistency is one, right? Like I think that same with gym
It's,
or any habit,
it's
motivation
primary.
comes and
That
go.
is, Imran, that's what I'm struggling with these days, to be consistent and working towards, different things that I'm
Yeah.
trying, but that's a struggle. You're right. We chase after things which show up
Yeah.
and we forget what we were working on. That is true for majority of us, every one of us.
Yeah.
And actually in every field of life, it's not just work and everything. Like we do one thing and then we jump to the other thing, then we go back to that thing, but then we lose
Hmm.
interest in the other thing. It's hard. You
Yeah.
have to literally learn to unlearn in that regard.
So and just to change a little bit, right? So change of topic, but it's an extension of this. So at OneAvenue, you learn a lot about product operations. You learned a lot about content writing, and you
Branding.
got even better with it, right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
not even better. You did a really phenomenal job. And the reason I'm saying this is because just to give more context, not everybody is into tech, right?
No.
And not everybody is not even tech, like not everybody's into that space. I don't want to call it tech
Not everybody
specifically.
is tech savvy.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
you're
yeah, right.
wondering.
And so when someone comes in, now you've learned so much skills.
Yeah.
People would be like, "Hey, you should be working for since we're in music, Spotify, Apple
Yes.
Music."
Yes.
But there's some challenges. You didn't, can I wanna don't want to put words in your mouth. Could you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit what are some challenges that came across after One Avenue when we had to, close our doors? Um, Challenges around, pivoting to a whole tech space. What's been your challenge around that, getting into
I,
that space?
I would like to come back to the same thing, Imran, like you said, consistency. That's number one challenge. I was working in One Avenue. I had a great team. We were good 7, 10 people. It was a great time working, and I still miss it to this day. I learned a lot on hands, a lot of things. You were a great mentor guiding us, and I'm the kind of person you give me something, I'll take it and run with it to the max.
Hmm.
So when that aspect closed, I started to build on my resume and everything. Again, I personally feel there's a lot of red tape. That's what I
Hmm.
feel. As a person who is not a master's in any degree, I have
Hmm.
an associate's, right? But I know my skills. I know what I'm good at. I'm good at public speaking. I'm good at communication. I can work hard at something. But to transfer that things on a piece of paper and then show it to the other person is not easy sometimes.
Hmm.
So in that regard, I feel consistency in the sense I should have not stopped pushing myself in it, but life gets in the way. I had to look for another work, and you get busy in your life. I'm a
Yeah.
mother, a lot is going on at home. So that part of me sort of backtracked somewhere where
Hmm.
I'm trying to get back again. I would feel, say again, consistency is an issue. And then maybe I could have done another internship,
Hmm.
could have pushed myself to go towards a startup, but I was not, I did push myself to go to certain startups, but again, because they did not know my work ethic,
Yeah.
they did not pick me up in the same way like you did. That's
Yeah.
a difference. So those are some of the struggles. If you know somebody in the business, it always works better. You know that.
Yeah. Sadly, that's the case, which I
That's
don't
the
like.
case.
Yeah.
I have seen people working who don't know anything. They are more cumbersome to be at
Mhm.
work compared to somebody who knows one thing and
Yeah.
knows it well and just goes ahead to do it, or just not even knows it well, like you
Yeah.
said, applies themselves to figure it out.
Yeah.
So when you see like that thing, and then when I see myself, I'm not saying I'm the best of the best, but I know what I can capable of. I just felt that struggle is real, that when you're going in the real market, not everybody will see you the same way. It's better if you know somebody. If you don't know somebody, then sadly they start lying on your resume, or go get, which I think, go get into a boot camp to change your field,
Yeah.
or go get into something. I did some courses from the University of London and stuff like that,
Yeah.
branding courses, but of course I got off track also a little bit.
Yeah.
And then there's the market. The
Yeah.
market is not always conducive. And I also think it's a matter of timing, where
Yeah.
you are, who you're with. So those I feel were some of the struggles that I feel were there back then.
Yeah, no, and I think the boot camp part that you're saying is really good because a lot of people I know at least three people that did coding boot camp, and
Yeah.
now they have full-time job. They're making more than like 100K at just a base, you
That's
know.
something I'm looking into, not just
Yeah.
coding, like any
Yeah.
bootcamp,
It could be
anything.
product designing,
Yeah,
product
instead of
management.
going
Yeah.
back and struggling at college or degree, which is
Yeah.
something I know a lot of people told me that why don't you finish your degree? Why don't you finish your degree? What people don't realize, it's a lot of time. I
Yeah.
have to put in X amount of time, and not everybody is 18 or 21 to start that pace again. You are living your life, you're managing your home as a woman. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
for a man, the story might be different, but as a woman, you're managing your life, you're managing your children, you're managing your social circle, you're
Yeah.
managing your other circles. Now you expect me to go back to school 12 hours in a, whatever month, to a day or something for the
Yeah.
credit, and get a degree. And then when I come out from the degree, what's there? I'm back
You
at
know,
square one.
yeah, I have a question on that one. Do you feel universities, colleges, I have my opinion, but I'll ask, are more of a soft skill generator versus boot camps are a hard skill generator, meaning coding, designing, product management, marketing management. They hard skill you, then you get a job making good six digits, right? But when you go to university, yes, you also get a job, but don't you feel like someone who went to boot camp has a six-figure salary, someone who went to university has barely making ends meet?
I have a couple of views on that. I feel personally, I feel, and have that old school or traditional thought set that you need a degree,
Yeah.
period. Forget the job, forget the money. You need to be educated, because our education level is technically a bachelor's anywhere in the
Hmm.
world to go. If
Yeah.
you refer to somebody who's educated or, affluent
Yeah.
mentally, emotional quotient is very good, is supposed to be an education person. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of people who do the dumbest things, no matter what they have under their bag, like
Yeah.
masters or PhDs or whatever. So I feel that's one thing. Other thing is the soft skill. I think university and colleges just introduce you to a wide variety of subjects.
Hmm.
Then you pick up what you want to do for your masters or what you like. There's a whole, like you said, there's a whole generation going on right now, YouTube generation, that you
Yeah.
don't need to go to college and you go to YouTube. But honestly, how many people are technically that skillful to learn a skill on
Hmm.
YouTube, actually generate? Not many.
Yeah.
Majority people, and this might come off negatively, are followers, not leaders. That's a human fact.
Yeah.
So a leader could be sitting at home and they will make something and do it.
Hmm.
A
Yeah.
follower could apply himself on a college university, on a YouTube program, on a boot camp, and still be struggling, because that is how we are wired. It's nothing against anybody.
Mm.
Everybody has a different capacity.
Yeah.
Just like you said, somebody could be tech savvy and somebody might be just great at doing construction. They might not be great at the computer, but they're great at building a home. There is no comparison. The two both are going to make a living, but their
Mm.
route to that is going to be different. Coming back to your question, boot camps are great for people who have some knowledge. I never personally went to boot camp. I keep on thinking about it because boot camps are expensive also.
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
to go in and then come out with like, okay, so I did everything. Now how do I apply? You have to be able to connect the A to the B.
Hmm.
The A is good while you're doing it. Now, when you come out of it, you need to follow through. Just going to a boot camp and now you're still struggling. So people who have good communication skills,
Yeah.
good, like they're able to put themselves out of it. Majority boot camps enable you to make a portfolio and everything. Not everybody is able to make a great portfolio.
That's true.
So, but everybody can go to boot camp. So now I get my heart set that Imran went to a boot camp and he's making 100 grand. So I, from my background,
Yeah.
which is like zero, like you are doing thousands of things, Imran. You have done a startup, you have worked with, the unicorns and everything. So I can see you going to a boot camp and coming out and making something brilliant or doing something brilliant.
Mm.
Meanwhile, I'm coming from work, from family, a little bit of startup experience. Now I go to a boot camp. Now I'm struggling with, okay, so what am I supposed to do with it?
Mm.
How do I apply myself anywhere?
Yeah.
So degree is very good. If it's something that you feel college education you want, go ahead and take it. You need it. It's your backup. It's always a backup.
Hmm.
You asked what my struggles was. That was also one of the struggles I saw, that when you're looking at jobs on LinkedIn, when you're looking at jobs anywhere, what is the minimum qualification? A bachelor's.
Yeah. That's true.
And I know the work, I know everything, but I don't have a bachelor's.
But
So now
but you
how is the candidate getting picked? The candidate is going to get picked whoever has on the resume a bachelor's or a master's.
that is true. Like, but however, there are some companies which are now encouraging, they look at your experience more than
They say it,
anything.
but even if you look at their postings,
I
none
know
of
what
the
you mean.
postings are going to say that, oh, we are going to look at this kid with zero capacity, but he's a great YouTuber. Come on in.
Yeah, nah, no,
It's
they're
not going to
not
happen
gonna.
that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there are two different messages being sent. Degree is not important. However, when you're applying for jobs, that's the first thing written on the qualifications. Or a minimum of 6 years of experience.
That's true. Like I think the
How are
degree
you
part is
getting that experience?
the
How?
dig yeah. It's a bit confusing because at one point these companies do say they don't want to look at it, but when you see their roster of people who are employed, they're from private universities. And then you're like, great, I need to go there. But then they're like, oh, we don't want that. We take everyone. I think the whole hiring, and that'll be a separate episode, hopefully with a recruiter. The hiring system is botched. It's really messed up. It's very subjective, even the interview process. That's a different ballgame, different
But
discussion
that's
actually.
one of the struggles, like I
Yeah.
saw what you asked me. So you can see me right now. I know what I bring to the table, but now how am I able to project that on the resume? I can't unless I know in the company, unless I
Yeah.
know somebody there who meets me personally and then I know, no, this person is a great candidate, might not look great on the paper, but she's good. That is also one of the struggles.
That's why they say your network is your net worth. Yeah. That's how they say it basically. So people who you know where they are, they're the ones who
And
will get you.
and we talk about all this innovation and change, the growth set and the mindset, but at the bare basics, this is still where we are at, even today.
This is interesting because someone who is in tech, for me, it's different. I actually would disagree with some of the things. Again, is on because I'm on the different side. You see,
Yeah.
I
You
live in the
see on
Bay
the other
Area.
side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like over here, for example, I want to have a conversation with a VC. I just hit him up on X. The next thing
Mm,
I know, we're exchanging emails, right?
mm,
But I think there's this preset that is there, that if he's using
You're
this,
in that
yeah,
environment.
yes. So there's two different things. Like one, there's a preset of things for people who are in the Bay Area or in tech and some sort, but then people who are not into tech at all.
Who are
For
not in the
them,
tech industry and trying to
yeah,
come into the industry, it's really hard.
yeah.
And I personally feel it's starting to get iron walled. I
Mhm.
feel the tech industry is also getting very limited in that way. People keep on talking about how saturated. It's never saturated.
Yeah.
There's always something that needs to be done, coded
Mhm.
or placed into or hooked up to anywhere. I think it still comes down to who you know, where they are, I feel. And if you know, like on a scale of 1 to 10, if you know up till 2, but you know somebody who knows you, you're already candidate number 7,
Mm.
right? Compared to me who doesn't know anybody and you're
But
trying to get, I'm still candidate number 3.
but wouldn't you say that works for every other industry as well? Like it's not specifically tech.
See, it cannot work in medical
No,
because in
besides
medical
medical,
industry,
let's take banking.
oh, well, what other industries there?
No,
Tech, medical, and
let's
then
take
what? Business.
yeah, let's take banking, right? So yeah, I can imagine it works
Banking
that
also is
hey,
the same thing.
right? Except
It's
medical.
pretty much,
Medical is more merit, not merit, but
it has to be merit. I will not like
right.
to go sit in front of somebody who's there because
Yeah,
I suggested them. They have to operate on me.
yeah. And then the
You
next thing you
know?
know, you're meeting God. It's like, hello.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's interesting. No, that's very interesting perspective from how do you say
Somebody
this?
not
But
who's non-tech, technically
yeah,
right now.
like not even an outsider, but like a spectator, right?
Yes.
Like when you have games and you have spectators who just
Yeah,
watching who's doing what.
yeah.
And I think this is a very interesting view. I actually find it very interesting for myself because I haven't seen some of it. Some of
Mm,
it I have seen. I do disagree how the hiring process works, especially in
mm,
2023. It's been very crazy. But yeah, this is really, in summary, a interesting perspective. On one last part I want to touch upon, and then possibly we will end this podcast with this one. But what is some advice? So let me just add more context and then ask you this question. So you are a mother.
mm.
You've written a book,
Yeah,
right? You've done research publication. You have also tried a startup. You also
yeah,
have your day job.
yeah. And I'm trying to set up a podcast as well.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
thinking
also doing
things
your own
as
podcast,
well.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so when you look at that, what advice or what open question or thought-provoking thought said would you like to share with someone who's listening or watching this podcast?
You can always start today. Number 1. Don't let your age, your time, your family, your responsibilities hold you back. That, oh, I wish I could have done this 10 years ago. No, no, no. You do it today. That is the number 1 thing anybody needs to hear. There is no time frame anymore. That is one thing that we can change to walking into 2024. There is no time frame. Just like our life is limitless, nobody knows what's happening tomorrow. Your
Mhm.
dreams, your endeavors, whatever you want, whatever it may be, start today or start tomorrow. Plan it. Go ahead and do it. There will be many people who will say it's not going to work for you. Imran, I was not at all in a mainstream anything when I started working in OneAvenue. That pushed me in front of so many people, and I did
Yeah.
things which I never thought I would imagine.
Hmm.
Can you realize that from a perspective of a person who has never stepped a foot in a field in tech industry or a music industry? I was attending Warner Brothers press conferences. Come on.
Yeah.
I was invited to private parties to see Zara Larson face to face. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
how do these things happen? When
Yeah.
I wanted it to happen, I applied myself that no, I'll go ahead and do this.
Yeah.
And I did all that while having a day job. I remember you sending me press tickets for 6 p.m. So I come
Yeah.
home at 4, I'm ready, and I'm out the door. I'm
Yeah.
exhausted. No, because I wanted to do it. So what I'm trying to say, you want to do something, you will find time, you will do it. If you don't find time today, it's fine. Do it tomorrow. Because at some point you need to have something, whether it's work related or work or pleasure, does not matter. It has to be related, something that you would like to do. That's number 1 advice. Number 2, like you started and said, consistency.
Yeah.
Consistency is very important. And there's another saying, give it 2 months.
Mm,
Just like you can make or break a habit in 21 days, I would not say that's true so much for starting a startup or something bigger.
yeah.
Give it 2 to 3 months and see where it goes. If it goes somewhere, great. If it doesn't go somewhere, doesn't matter. Shut it off,
Yeah.
start something else. It's okay. But everything needs to be given some time. That's those are my two key points from whatever I have learned so far in my life.
No, this is great for you. And I think I'm gonna make a TikTok clip out of this last one that you said.
And that is great.
It's that will help people out, like, especially with the whole thing that's going around the world,
True,
and
very true.
specifically with these layoffs and hoping the rest of
Very
2024
much
goes
so.
well.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
people need to hear this, that I would say it's differently. It's mostly like get shit done.
Yes.
Get started,
Get
start
started.
doing it,
Yeah. At least start it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I would say is a key takeaway.
Well, on that note, thank you, Fariha, for joining podcast with Imran Sheikh. And yeah, I really appreciate our conversation.
Thank you for having me here.